Hello, welcome to my review of my Nix Tanker Pros. First, I want to provide some context on two decisions I made with these boots that are probably a little bit unconventional. So I live in South Central Alaska. Summer here lasts about 4 months. That's the normal window in which I would be able to wear a pair of work boots like this. When I was looking at ordering these, I wanted to figure out a way to expand that window so that I could wear these more during the year. So one of the first things I decided on was to go for a little bit of a roomier fit. I'm probably a half size larger in these than most people with my size foot would have. And I did that. You know, I've lived here in Alaska my whole life, and for 8 months out of the year am wearing some kind of roomy fitting slip-on mud boot or winter boot. So that roomy slip-on boot feeling is normal for me. So I didn't really have any regrets going that half size larger because it has enabled me to wear these longer. Being able to put some wool socks on and stuff has been good. The other thing that I did is I chose the Honey Vibram sole, which I haven't seen anybody talk about the Honey Vibram sole in this context. Everybody that chooses the Honey Vibram is either doing it for looks or most commonly for like shock absorption. People with bad knees, bad backs, on concrete all day are going with this sole because it's softer and more shock absorbing. So I was a little concerned that these might not work for what I was wanting them for, which was that softer compound I was hoping would stay more pliable into the colder temperatures and maintain better traction on frozen surfaces like frozen puddles and metal decks and stuff. So now that I've had these and I've worn them well into winter, I can say for sure that these are better for those winter conditions of ice and frozen surfaces. It stays pliable and maintains good traction. So those are my two decisions that are more relevant to my context. I just wanted to kind of get those out there because who knows, I don't see a lot of people talking about these boots in colder climates and some of the decisions that can be made that will help in those conditions. So anyways, moving on to the actual review of the boot. First of all, I want to talk about the Tanker Pro platform. You know, there's not a lot of people out there with this, or at least not a lot reviewing this. So one of the things that stuck out to me with this platform that I don't see anybody saying is the ease with which you can adjust this during the day. For me, I'm in and out of equipment and doing all kinds of different things. I fill multiple roles at the company I work for. So, you know, 1 minute I could be out in the woods running a chainsaw, stumbling through the forest, you know, and in that case, I want this thing cinched down really tight. And I can do that on the fly, and it's not the same as, you know, if you're adjusting your boots, you basically have to completely unlace, start at the bottom, crank down, and get things really good and tight all the way to the top. And then when you're done running the chainsaw and you're going to go, you know, sit in a dump truck and run loads or in a bobcat and spread or something, and maybe you don't want that death grip on your foot, you want a little breathing room, you know, with a set of laces, you got to completely unlace the boot and start from the bottom or to the top. With this, it's as simple as just undoing the buckle and picking a different hole, and it takes no time. So that for me is probably my favorite part of this platform, is the quickness with which you can adjust them during the day, depending on your different needs, you know. So yeah, Tanker Pros are awesome, and you can get these things really tight. You got to put some time into it and kind of get used to wrapping that strap around your leg, really just maintaining tension through the whole process. And then when you get to the buckle, with this buckle, when you put this in here, you can pull the opposite direction. Even though you've already got a large amount of tension, when you grab this strap, it's not like a lace, you know, you can really grab on this and reef on it. I can get this thing all the way down to the last hole, really just crank this thing down and get it really tight. And I was able to get these things as tight as any lace-up boot I've ever worn. So yeah, so that's the Tanker platform. I'm super pleased with it. Yeah, I have some ideas on it that I might make another video about. Some things that could potentially be changed to make it even more versatile and kind of bring it into its own sort of thing, rather than right now it's a Builder Pro with straps, which is fantastic. Like I just said, it's got a lot of upsides. But there's a couple things I think I would like to see different that might, yeah, make it, like I said, make it more of its own thing. All right, so I chose the H&W last because, as I mentioned before, I've been a slip-on guy most of my life. You know, a real aggressive arch support and a real tight boot have never been my thing. So the H&W Last has not been a problem for me. It's been super comfortable, and yeah, very pleased with that. I went with a composite toe in this because of the equipment that I'm around, chainsaw operating and all of that. And I got the toe cap, that extra layer of leather, because I always wear through my toe. I usually end up painting some kind of toe guard on my boots, and I did not want to do that with these, so that extra layer of leather was awesome to be able to get on here. The fit, for me, there was basically no break-in, and I think that that can be attributed to multiple things. You know, the roomier fit, the H&W Last, and the 1964 Easy Break-In leather. Probably mostly the roomier fit, you know, so definitely a lot more forgiving on the break-in side. But the 1964 leather was an absolute joy. Like I said, I've had these about 5 months. I received them, I put them on, and I basically haven't taken them off. I've been, you know, it's my full-time work boot. I have not worn a different boot to work. I wear these to church. I wear these into town. I've actually worn these to both a wedding and a funeral already. Yeah, it looks great. It's super durable. It comes ready to go. You know, you don't need to go through that initial break-in and condition and all of that. It arrives and it's ready to go. So I really liked that. And then the construction quality of this boot, what am I going to say that everybody else hasn't already said? It's NIX. It's impeccable. These have already gone through as much as almost every other boot I've ever owned. I usually get 1 season out of a pair of summer work boots, 4 months. These I've had 5 months, and I've been definitely wearing these a lot more. Usually my work boots are my work boots, and when I get home I take them off and I wear other things to town, to church, and everywhere else that I go. I got other shoes and boots for those other places. These have been on my feet everywhere. The few times that I haven't worn these in those 5 months have just been situational things where maybe I just conditioned it and I didn't want to take it out and ruin the conditioning, or you know, maybe wanting to give it time to soak in, leaving it on the boot dryer, letting it warm up and absorb the conditioner. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as the boot's concerned. The customer service was awesome. 2 things with these boots that I had to contact NIX about. When the time came for these to be being put together, I noticed that the max support, which was my original leather choice, was not in stock. So I emailed them and I said, hey, can I change that to 1964 and get these on the line? You know, it was the second to last day of the last week of the lead time, and they emailed me back a couple hours later and said your order is updated. And I think the next day I got an email saying they're under construction. So that was awesome, super responsive, accommodating, and fast. The other thing, when I originally ordered these, the toe cap, that extra layer of leather, was not an option. And at one point, you know, like halfway through the wait period, I'm on the NIX website, scrolling through the the boots and stuff, and building all kinds of different boots and just drooling. And and I returned to these, and I noticed that in the build menu that the toe cap was a new option, and so I emailed them and asked if I could update the order and get those on there. They accommodated that, so that was awesome. All right, I don't think there's much else to say. It's a great boot. It's super well built, and if you're thinking about getting one or getting a pair, get a pair. It's worth it. Yeah.